everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast on Millennial Hacker. Today, I am here with Kristen. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing phenomenal. Now, Kristen, I know for some time we've actually been just a little bit of rundown back history for the people watching. We've actually been in a community chat through Facebook, Plug Hub, for a while now. I want to say almost like a year or two now. And I just realized this is probably the first time we're actually, I mean, besides like messaging back and forth, this is probably the first time we've like had a conversation and whatnot. So it's really glad to finally meet you, like, in person. Well, through Zoom, I should say, but it's really glad to meet you. Love seeing the progressional success coming your way, the posts you're making, and just the phenomenal moves that you've been making as well. So, Kristen, can you go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what do you do and how long you've been doing it?
Hi, yes. So first, real quick, shout out to the plugs because that's how
Absolutely.
we got plugged in. So shout out to them, everybody over there in that community. It's awesome. My name is Kristen Contreras. I am a realtor out here in Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex area in Texas. And I am a licensed insurance agent and a fashion designer.
All right, awesome. So, how long have you been doing each of those, and what inspired you? Yeah, and what inspired you to do so?
So I've been doing real estate since 2019 as far as just marketing.
Okay.
Like I was with a real estate marketing director, right? I didn't have my license or anything yet. I just got licensed during the pandemic, such a crazy time, right? But I got licensed in September of 2020.
Okay.
Um, so I've been doing that for a couple months. And then I have been doing insurance for 5 years. And I've been doing fashion, like making my first step since 2019.
Okay. That's awesome. So you've been doing those for so somewhere basically about like 2 years. For I know you said like real estate. You said insurance 5 years, and then fashion for another 2 years, I believe.
Mhm.
So what was it that sparked that interest for you? There's many there's many things that people could do out there, but what was it to you that spoke real estate, fashion, and what you do now?
Okay, so with the fashion, it's so crazy because I look back and whenever I was in fifth grade, I would draw like little characters and outfits on them and swimsuits, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just bored and I was just getting so entertained by drawing and coloring on these. After we take our tests, the teacher would just give us like blank sheets and I would sit there while everybody's finishing their test and draw out just different designs. And I look back at it like, oh wow, like I knew, what I wanted to do without even knowing what I wanted to do. It's crazy.
Right.
But just going to the stores and not like things not fitting me right, or I didn't like what color this dress was, or I wish it looked like this, that inspired me. And I just told myself, I could just make this. And then like a voice in my head was like, you can. And it was so crazy. And so the clothes I had in my hand, I just put them back and I went home and started researching like, okay, what do I need to make stuff,
Hmm.
researching what kind of sewing machine is good out there, bought my sewing machine. It's a process, it's fun, but I love the whole creativity part of it and the whole progress, like from scratch, drawing it out, designing it, or cutting out a pattern and putting it together. And in the final result, it's just so satisfying. So I love it. I'll get to make my own stuff. I made tons of masks during the pandemic. It was crazy.
That I remember. I remember like you posted a ton. They were really good too. I mean, they were
It
really,
was
really
so
good.
fun. Like just different fabric. I love it. I love it. Like I could be in that fabric store all day. So it's just a fun thing. It doesn't even feel like work. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like I'm
Right.
doing anything. I enjoy every single second of it. So that's inspired me to start making my stuff. Real estate, you know what? I didn't even ever think I'd be a realtor, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But the whole insurance and real estate, like it kind of goes together, like it's crazy because I'm able to insurance, everybody needs insurance. You could be driving dirty out here, you could be doing stuff, but you're gonna get it fine and it's crazy.
Right.
But I'm able to, sell you your house and insure your house for you. So it goes hand in hand. But I wanted to learn more about how to do Airbnbs and have investment properties, and then I just keep hearing, get your real estate license, get your real estate license. And then the company I was marketing for, they told me, yeah, start studying, get your license, and let's
Hmm.
do it. And I was like, you know what? I will, because the more you know, the better for you because you can apply all that knowledge to your next step. So I was like, why not? I mean, I'll learn more. So I did it. I jumped for it and studied and took that 4-hour test.
Right. And it paid off, I'm assuming as well. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
really awesome to hear as well. I know when you were talking about your fashion story, you said like I think you said back in fifth grade, you were designing and you were like making all these characters, and then I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I was just making stick figures because that's all I could do. I couldn't draw. I don't have the talent for that. But
Yeah.
no,
Oh
that's
no,
really cool.
they weren't like super all that, but they were just little bodies, and I would,
Mhm.
but yeah, like
Right.
just
No,
doing
I
it
was
because it was fun.
gotcha. No, but yeah, no. So thank you, yeah, for sharing that insight for like what got you into fashion, what got you into real estate, and
Mhm.
insurance and whatnot. Especially talking about things going hand to hand. So what was it like, when you first started? Like, so you found what you wanted to do. You were inspired by fashion. You liked designing it, and then you like, what you could go do. You even said you had that voice that was like telling you, yeah, yeah, you can go do this. That pushed you. So as you did it, were there any? Did you ever face any doubts? Did you face any challenges that made you second guess? Do I really want to do this? And if so, how did you overcome that to continue where you're at now?
Um, yeah, because okay, so with the sewing, it gets kind of hard, like because you're gonna mess up a lot and then you have to undo it, like individually take everything out and then do it again. So it was like, man. But I would stay up till 3 in the morning doing masks, and I had my little setup at home where my sewing machine was, all my fabric laid out. And I took a picture of it so I could remember where I started, right? Like
Hmm.
remember where I started and then where I'm going and where I'll be at. But it was hard. But then I sit back and I pray a lot, and then I talk to myself, and I was like, remember that feeling in that store where you were like, I can. Remember that voice that said you can. And I
Right.
think back at that moment at how I felt and that excitement and that confidence, and then I just snap back and I'm like, okay, I get back in my zone. Of course, there's going to be those times, but I think if you can picture yourself back to how you felt in that moment where you did believe like 1000% in yourself, you'll be okay and you overcome that fear and that doubt. So that's
Mhm.
that's what helped me with the fashion.
Okay, that's awesome.
The real estate, I haven't had any doubt. I love it. Like I love everything. The only thing I was scared of was that test.
Hmm.
That test I was scared, and because I took a boot camp and I was on Zooms for like 4 days straight to prepare you for the test, right? They're like 5-hour Zooms. I was on there every
Wow.
day because everybody kept telling me, oh, I failed the first time. I failed the second time. It took me 3 times. It took me 4 times. So I was like, oh, dang, it's going to take me like 2 or 3 times too, because I was basing it off of that. But that's their story. And we all have different walks, we all have our own path. And I couldn't keep comparing myself to their results, and so I prayed about it and I passed my first time and I was like, oh, and as soon as she gave me as you find out your test results right when you leave the testing center, like right
Oh
in that
yeah.
little lobby, they give you your results right away, the same day.
Okay.
The lady gave me both papers and it said pass, pass. And I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. I was like, hold on, ma'am. And I literally got on my knees in that lobby and I started praying. And she started praying for me, because I was like, I'm about to change a lot of people's lives and help them achieve homeownership. And I was super happy and excited. And oh, I went to celebrate, had a
That is
margarita, and it was awesome. But I haven't
congratulations
had
to
any
you.
doubts with real estate. I love it. And I'm a part of a great, great team. And
That's
so
phenomenal.
I love that part.
That's
Yeah.
a beautiful story. And I mean, especially like even giving in the moment, like after you pass, you're basically, in another sense, like you're showing gratitude, showing gratitude, like, hey, I passed and now I can take this and, apply it to myself to help others, help myself, whatever it may be. So that's absolutely phenomenal. That was a beautiful story. I like what you did there, as
Thank
well.
you.
So
It was fun. I cried. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, you know what I mean? But I knew it was all God and I know like he has plans for me. And so, as
right.
long as he uses me to help people change their life. And I love people. I love building
Absolutely.
relationships with people. And so it's awesome. Like I had closed on a house in May, less than a month ago. And my clients, they're like family now. Like they invited me to dinner last week, and they're having their housewarming party and they're like, you're welcome anytime. You ever want to come stay the night? I'm like, okay. But it's so cool because you build those relationships, you meet people and just it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love what you put on there because you really never know, like you really never know where like life is going to take you. And I know that's like a
Mhm.
common like phrase. I know it's something people always, maybe say, but like until you've had that moment where like it happened right then and there, or you just realize like, wow, this is one part of my chapter that's been open. This is one part of my life that has now changed. You really do start to like look back and reflect upon yourself, your position, and yeah, do praising and thanking God for where you are at today. And that's absolutely phenomenal. Again, congratulations to you for that. I know for a fact, man, taking like the same feeling you had, I guarantee mine would have been like 10 times like worse. And I mean, it's great. I mean, here's another thing that I'm surprised too. We're not surprised, but I'm glad you got your results like right then and there. And it's not like, college or like high school and you have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks to find out. So
I
now you're
know,
just,
right?
oh my, and then you're just sitting there anxious and whatnot. But one thing though, you touched on was, you talked to other people and said this is their second, third, fourth time taking it, whereas you passed on your first time. Oftentimes, I think, and maybe you can agree or disagree with this, but I believe that oftentimes we compare ourselves way too much to other people in a sense of like, well, if it took them this many times, it's probably going to take me this many times. So what would you say to people who believe that, right? What would you say to people who believe like if these people couldn't do it in the first try, you know, how am I going to be able to do it? Or, oh, maybe I should just not do this or whatever it may be. Like, what's your advice basically to tell people to keep pushing and not to compare yourself when it comes to like whatever you're trying to accomplish?
Ooh, that's good. I agree with you because we do compare ourselves a lot, right? And we shouldn't. I don't know why, because like we're created individually and we're all unique in our own way, in
Hmm.
our own way. We are not the same.
Absolutely.
We're the same, but we are not the same.
Right.
So I would just say just do it and do not compare yourself because it's easy to do that. We all do that. But
Hmm.
just go for it, like it's something, man, like we all have our own journey. We all have our own story. We're all going to go
Right.
through our own things and feel different emotions at different times. We're human, but like me, my story is different from your story, but we're both going somewhere. We could both do the same thing. So just do it. Do not compare yourself because like me, I thought I was going to fail. Like I really did. I was scared to, but I was like, I'm doing it. If I fail, I fail. I don't care. I'm probably going to fail, but I would just say have faith in yourself and believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Do not compare yourself.
Absolutely. And I love what you touched upon with saying we all have our story, which is absolutely true. I talk about that all the time is
Yeah.
um, many people, right? I mean, there's a lot of fields where people like to do a lot of things together, like real estate. There's that job that everybody wants to do, graphic design, maybe you want to be a video editor, whatever you want to
Mhm.
do. And oftentimes it is that we compare ourselves so much that we feel like we have to do the exact same thing that this person did. But in reality, like you just said, we all have our own story, we're all unique. In reality, we're on a similar path. So there may be similar things you're going to do, but you don't need to do every single thing that is seen as, oh well, this is what you have to do to be successful, because you can write your own story on how that is. So
Yeah.
one thing I love is seeing people's potential. I love seeing people putting their potential into existence, because I can say, I personally stand behind this as well, is I believe there's so much potential in a lot of people, but they're not willing to show it or express it because they feel like they have to subdue or give in to the status of what is society, what is normal, what is quote unquote seen as realistic to do, right? What is the proper steps? But then you start to realize when you look at the people who are successful, when you look at the people who are really made it, those are the people who stay true to themselves and they did something different that nobody else does, right? So I'm just really glad that you touched up upon that. So what is one piece of advice you could get to maybe somebody who knows deep down that they have a talent they want to express, they have something they want to express, but they're just afraid to because they're focused so much on, well, this person's doing this person's doing that. What is your advice to someone saying, hey, telling, like, if you were to sit down with somebody and tell them, hey, this is why you need to focus on you and express yourself?
Ooh, okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
So
ready.
first of all, we
Hmm.
don't know the dark the dark parts of people's lives, right? We don't know their struggles. We don't know what they're not posting on social media, because we
Fact.
all go through things. We all face challenges and tribulations and trials and all that that we're not going to show and go post. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You don't know what that person's battling. So that's why it's like, don't even compare yourself to that person, because we're all going through our own things.
Absolutely.
But I'm about to drop a verse on you. Okay, so man, this hit me really hard. And it says, your gift will make room for you. And it's in the Bible. Your gift will make room for you. We all have a gift, we all have a talent, right? It's in they pull it out. It's Proverbs 18:16. And the actual scripture is, where is it at? 18:16. It says, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. So we are all, oh, we all
I'm
have that
ready.
talent. We all have that gift inside of us. You know, you're made for something, you're made to do something. Figure it out, find it, and run with it and go, and don't stop. So like, you have that talent and you're made for it. You know, like, you're on this planet for a reason.
Mhm.
And, you know, just go up, go off and show out. And
Exactly.
that's what I got to give you. It tells you, like, our creator tells you there's a gift in you, there's a talent in you, and go do it. So I love that. That hit me
Yeah.
so hard.
Exactly. It's straightforward. I mean, and also, I forgot what the exact compare the ratio is, but it was like the fact that you are on this earth, you are alive, you're still here. There's a one to like, oh, the number is huge. I think it's like something like 4 billion chance. You have like a 1 to 4 billion chance of you actually being here. It's a huge number. But what's crazy is, you know, one thing I believe that we as human beings we oversee
Mhm.
is that I'm here, right? And I'm here for a reason. You know what I mean? A lot of people can say like, you know, like the standard, like, well, no, like you were born into Earth, you know, you were, you know, lucky one that got out, whatever it may be. But when you really sit back and think about it, the chances of someone being here, like, you know, me, you, whoever else, like being here on this earth,
Mhm.
breathing, living, um, is astronomically like phenomenal. And there's so many like what's the word I'm trying to say? I guess what I'm trying to say is the fact that we're on this earth, we
Mhm.
have so much to give. And I feel like many people nowadays feel like there is nothing to give, or they feel like maybe, oh, it's something's already been done, or somebody else will do it and whatnot. So, because I believe, like I said, going back to the whole, like, you know, I believe that everyone has potential. I believe everyone does have that uniqueness in them, you know. Like my favorite comment, believe it or not, my favorite comment that someone will tell
Mhm.
me that people, actually, multiple people have told me through my content creation is, you know, I've never met someone like you know, and it was in a good way. And I like that. And I really like that because my whole focus was, how can I make me? How can I make Tavion just Tavion? How can I show like, Tavion is his own person, you know. And as I keep, you know, as I personally get to, you know, continue to grow and develop, I know like more of that is just starting to come out and flourish into existence. And it feels really, really good. And it pursues me to do more. Just like you know, when you start doing the things that you are passionate about, the things you pursue, it starts to flourish more into existence. And it creates more of like, who is Kristen, right? Who is Kristen going to become? Who is she going to be? So, what would you say to someone about realizing their potential? What would you say about, I mean, so it's kind of like, I guess it's somewhat related to the last question as well, but what would you say to someone who is just, yeah, I guess this is kind of similar question. So what would you say to someone who is kind of afraid, basically afraid to show off their potential, right? They're just afraid to say, well, what are people going to think about me? What if this doesn't work, right? What if this is a bad idea after all? What if, you know, what the ideas I have may not work? What would you say
All
to
those
someone?
negative comment, all those negative thoughts.
Yes, all the negativity. So what would you say to somebody about that?
Okay, well, you know what? We were not born here like to just come on earth, pay bills, and die.
Facts.
Like, that's not what we were meant to.
Facts.
That's not what we're supposed to do, right? Like, who said that? We're not supposed to,
Exactly.
oh, I'm here, let me just pay all these bills and then I'm gonna die and that's it. No, like, that's not what we are here to do, right?
Right, right.
Um, and okay, so if you do it, what if you fail though? You fell forward. Even
Mhm.
if all that matters is that you tried. I know, right? I'm like, man, all that matters is that you tried and you went for it. Because if you fail, it's okay. You failed, but you learned something
Exactly.
with that experience. You know what I mean? You learned something. You know what not to do, or you could just, okay, you failed that first time, so you're just gonna try it again, but maybe a different way. but you're still going to do
Exactly.
the same thing. Just go plan B and try a different way to do it. But you're still going to be ahead from where you first started. So definitely just do it.
Exactly. It even goes, it even goes back to I don't know if you heard this saying before, but uh I think it was, I can't quote word for word, but it was something I watched of Steve Harvey saying how,
I love him.
I man, Steve man. Woo! I'm not gonna get too much into it, or else it's gonna be like a Steve Harvey rant rather than. But
Yes, I love
no,
Steve Harvey.
he's very powerful. He's very impactful. And one thing he
Yeah.
said was, oftentimes us as human beings, we don't realize. Again, I can't say word for word, but I'm summing it up. He said that oftentimes we realize that the stuff we go through, the struggles we go through, we look at that, as dirt. But he said in reality, that's just soil that's building you up, that's helping you grow as a person. Oftentimes, I think it's not a matter of, I don't think people are afraid of growth, and maybe you feel that way too. I don't think people are afraid of growth. I think people just don't, I think they're afraid of the unknown, right? So
Mhm.
people are afraid of that. Well, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Like you were just talking about, you just said, like, if you fail, you mess up, that's okay. That's a part of life. But you take something away from that, you learn something upon that, and maybe, and you try again and whatnot. So
Yeah, like
learning,
fail.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'd rather fail than not have tried. You know what
exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like you just, it's like it's so much better to live your life knowing what you did, what you didn't. Um, that's like one of the few quote. That's like one of the few quotes I definitely live by is, I personally, when I get, God willing, I reach 60, 70, 80, maybe 90. If we can get that 100 mark, that'd be cool. But God willing, I get to that point where it's just like, I'm getting older. I don't want to have to look back and think, man, what would my life have been if I did this, right? So
Yeah.
oftentimes people don't think about that, right? People think like, is what it is, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
So that's actually a good point. Now I want to leave my next question for you. Is what is your take on, or what's your advice to people as well when it comes to that mindset of, I am, because you were just saying, like, we are not born here, we are not here to live, pay bills for the rest of your life, slave away, you could say slave away, but basically doing something you don't want to do and then die, right? A lot of people have that mentality. Like a lot of people have that, like, oh, this is the real world. But like you said, who made it that way, right? So what would your advice be to someone who knows that they don't want to live by that standard? Like I know you say yes, imagine just keep going, like keep doing it, go for it and whatnot. But people are afraid of the unknown. So how could you maybe assure somebody of it's okay to be afraid of the unknown, but think of it like this way as well, like if it works out for you? So what would you say to someone about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have them write down on a piece of paper like all the good stuff that can happen if they do it. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like a T chart and do the negative, like what your negative thoughts are, all the things you're scared about, and then write about all the good stuff that's gonna happen when you do succeed. Like manifest it. Just I love to write things out that I want and my goals and stuff. And I like my bathroom, I have everything on my mirror taped up, like my
Oh, really?
goals, this,
Nice.
yeah. I have all my dream boards in my restroom because I go there every day and I look at it every day and I focus on it. I pray it's something that I'm seeing every day and I'm manifesting. Like if you consistently think about it and talk about it and look at it, you're always going to be like, okay, it's going to be in your mind all the time. But I
Right.
would definitely go over all the positive things with them. And some people need that extra guidance. Like, if you need to call me on the phone, like, let's talk, let's have a conversation. I'm going to reassure you that everything's going to be okay. You have people to rely on. And there's so many resources now, there's so many videos to watch. I love that
So
about
many.
YouTube. You can go learn so much now. If I need to go find out how to change my oil, let me go to YouTube real quick. I'll be out there
Right.
changing my oil by myself. You know what I mean? Like, I would um, just connect with the people that you truly love and that truly love you and have great intentions, and just believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be really hard for you, really really hard for you. There's times where I didn't believe in myself a long time ago. I didn't. I was like,
Oh yeah,
oh no,
me
I
too.
can't do that because that person already does it, or this or that or that. But man, one thing I seen, the Kardashians, like, I don't know which sister, but they both have a makeup line and they're
Hmm.
sisters and they're both doing the same thing and they're both successful at it and they're family. You know what I mean?
Right.
You go on the bread store at Walmart and there's all kinds of bread brands. They're all doing the same thing, selling the same product, and they're just different companies. So it's like there's room for all of us up here. You know, there's room for all of
It
us
really
to do
is.
it and to get it. So you're not being left out. Like we're not gonna be like, oh no, you can't be a part of, you know, like
Right.
no, it's just like open arms, like go ahead, get your idea and do it and run with it.
Exactly. What you and I like what you touched on, because what you start to realize is if anybody does feel like, oh, there's not enough room, or oh, not enough time, for you to make it,
Mhm.
typically those are the people who are not even living out their own potential or life. Because someone successful, someone who made it, I mean, I should definitely say majority of the time, want to see other people win, right? I mean, they're genuinely nice. They're always like, hey, hey, here's what I did, or here's some things you could take away from what I did, maybe somehow put it into your style of whatever you want to pursue,
Mhm.
and whatnot. But I'm really glad that you touched up on that. And it's actually going to lead me to my next question I have for you, which is talking about like your environment, right? Like who you're around. Like you were talking about being around your
Oh,
family.
wow.
So
Hey.
yeah, when it comes to like when it comes to your environment, a lot of people have people in their life they feel like they owe something to them. So if that means for them to not live out their life, or for them to not do what they want to do, they feel like that's what's necessary, right? They feel like they gotta live at the standard or the normal of what everybody else is doing, right? So what would you say to those out there who have somebody, whether it's family, friends, a peer, or whoever it may be? What would you say to somebody who has those people in their life who are actually bringing more negativity in their life? They're not really supporting them that much, and they want them to quote unquote be realistic. Which in this case, being realistic in today's society is just called normal in another stance. So what's your advice to someone about, hey, you got to really watch out for what your environment is, who's your environment, and how to treat this. So what's your take on that?
All right. So your environment is everything. You know, cut them off
Hmm.
because people that no longer serve you will be removed from your life. And if they're all negative, you're going to be that other negative person. If there's five negative people, you're going to be the sixth negative person.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like cut them off. I don't care if they're family. Oh well, like some like you have to remove that because that's going to just keep you like that's going to drain you
It
and it's
is.
not going to get you to the next level where you need to go. Man, I posted that thing. I think you've seen it where it's like pay attention, and see who your distractions are
Hmm.
because your distractions can take you away from your goals.
Yes. Yes.
People are your distractions. So, and if they're not like you're in a cage, if you're not getting inspired and learning and growing and you're not, having those positive influences around you. So definitely, I would just, man, cut them off. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
It is.
I had friends I had to cut off and boom, like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I love you from a distance, but I just can't. I can't continue because we're not on the same path, we're not on the same level. There's not even nothing that we can talk about anymore. That's, our conversations are not how they used to be. And you're
Hmm.
gonna level up and you're gonna leave people behind, and that is okay.
It is.
Ooh, that's okay
Every
because you
that
don't want
was.
them to keep you. They're gonna keep you like, what is that thing on the boat where you're like anchored down and you can't move? You can't move because those people are like there. No, let them go.
Exactly. I resonate with everything you just said. And there was a key word in there that you just said that I actually just said with a previous guest I actually had on here, and that was draining. Because we were talking about this similar thing about environment, and that is
Hmm.
people often, and that goes back to why people feel like they owe somebody something, or because we're family, we have to stick together, we have to like each other. Because we're friends and we've known each other for a lifetime, we have to continue being friends. I have to put up with whatever you put on me and whatnot. But when you think about it in all reality, right? And I say this all the time and as a recap, I said this on my last video, I'm gonna say it in this one, to any of my friends, families that are watching this, maybe. I know, and like I said, I love every single one of them. Extremely grateful. I couldn't even be more blessed with the people I have in my life. And I think about that all the time. I sit back and think like, wow, I'm really blessed to have my like my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, my I almost said nephew and nieces, but I don't have those. My cousins, grandmothers, my friends I've known since childhood, my friends I've known through college. It's like I'm grateful for all you guys, but then it gets to a point where it's like you got to think about those people who are draining you, right? Because it's like if you're getting drained, if somebody's pulling you down, like you said, that anchor, they're just gonna pull you down with them, you know. So
Yeah.
by the way, I said before, I just want to make another recap to any of them watching. I'm not saying like I'm cutting all of my family and friends off. I'm not saying that,
Y'all
but
all cut
but
off. I'm not cut
no,
off.
but what I am right, but what I am saying, though is it becomes a necessity of like, you know who you need to be spending less time around. You know who you need to be spending, you know, I mean, I basically, but less time around as well as like, who you're around too much of as well. And oftentimes
Yeah.
people are afraid of that. Like people just feel like, I believe people feel like, again, because we're family, because we've known each other for a long time, we have to just deal with it when that's not the case at all.
No.
So
Mm-mm.
what would you say? Because you just talked about like, yeah, you got to cut people off. And that's true. That is true because I even had friends. I actually had a friend a few days ago. Um, who just completely like removed me from everything. Didn't know why, don't know what the reason was for it, but in my mind I built the level of maturity and knowledge of like understanding like life goes on, and I have to keep pushing in that everybody that comes and goes in my life is for a reason. That when that happened, and this friend, we were friends for like 8 years, so about a third ish about my life. And when that happened, I'm like, man, that kind of sucks. So in the moment it's going to suck, like you said, it's going to hurt. But I think if you can learn how to like progress and understand, like, hey, wait a minute, what did this person do for me? Did this person bring me value? Did this person lift me up? And you think about, well, not really. Then you start to feel a little bit better, and you start to realize how much more potential and value you have. So I was kind of prolonging what I'm trying to get to, but the
You're
question
good.
I
I got something to say too. I got
good.
something
I was
to
like,
say.
no, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so this man, I don't remember his name, but this stayed with me forever from the day I read it. And it says, um, your time and your energy is your most valuable asset, and it's
Absolutely.
limited. Okay, we like it's limited. We cannot get time back, and you got to protect your energy too, But oh, I can't even quote. I don't know if I'm. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Anthony Hawkins, but who said that? But man, that was so deep for me, because it's like your time is your time. You can't go back to yesterday. We can't hit that VCR button and rewind back to,
Mm-hmm.
back to yesterday. We can't. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to make smart moves, smart decisions.
Absolutely. I tell people this. I'm like, the moment you are born, that I said that the clock like starts now. At the moment you are born, that is when the clock starts. I said, this is not basketball. You don't have 4 quarters, you have 1 quarter, right?
Yeah.
You have
Hmm.
1 quarter. You can't see the clock because you don't know how much time you have left. So it's like, what are you going to do with that time? What are you going to make of that time? How much effort are you going to put in with that time? And how are you going to, that just all in all, how are you going to spend it? Right.
Got to make the
So
best of that time.
exactly. Make the best of it.
You know
So
what's fun
yeah, go
too?
ahead.
And I'm thinking of it like, I know this happened before, but when you gotta like, when you cut people off,
Yeah,
that can help them too, because that
absolutely.
makes them think and be like, dang, maybe I need to get my shit together. You know what I mean? Or like,
Right.
okay, you know what? And then they get to check themselves real quick and see what's wrong with them or what they need to do or what they need to change, just depending, because you're gonna lose people every level you get to. So it can help that other person too, like realize and check themselves to see what they need to
That's
change about their own self and
that
their
is
own life.
that is so, and thank you for sharing that. That is so true as well, because oftentimes we focus so much on ourselves, which is good in certain aspects. But
Hmm.
like if so, like for example, like my friend who to this day I don't know, but I don't wish anything bad upon my friend. I wish her nothing but the best of luck and a happy life. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But what you just said, that also happened for me as well. As I thought about, I'm like, well, first things first, you know, just because somebody may remove you of their life, just because somebody may cut you out of their life, may not just be beneficial for you, but it may be beneficial for them. So my thought process was, if I sit there and I think to myself like, oh, let's get this thing back on together, that may not, that's probably not what's meant to be. You know what I mean? I probably did my part for that person in that person's life, right? My part
Yeah.
may be over, and it's time for that person to grow and add more, have more people come into their life. So I think oftentimes we actually forget that, it's good to be selfless, and that the people who let you go, you let go, you're not just doing it for yourselves, but you're also doing it for the other person as well, potentially, right? So I'm actually really glad you touched on that, because I think that's something that many people really don't think of, like in the heat, especially in the heat of the moment type of thing.
Yeah, when it's happening.
People are thinking so much like, oh man, what did I do wrong, or vice versa, or what it could be. But then you just sit back again, and when you really think about your life, where you're going, where you want to go, that's when you really start to evaluate this person. Now, I personally say this to anybody watching, in case you have, cut people off or whatnot, never wish failure upon them. You should never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, never wish failure upon someone. And because I've started to develop to become a person of literally like all love. Like, if even if you don't see eye to eye with me, it's all good. It's all love. I'm not gonna show you disrespect. If you may not like the certain things I do, that's okay. Or if I don't even like certain things you do, that's okay. In the end of the day, first things first, it's your life. It's your idea of success and what you want to pursue for your life. But it's also a matter of just remaining selfless and being mindful, like what you're doing is probably helping you and that person grow at the same time when you branch off, the same. So I'm really glad that you had touched up on that piece when it came
Yeah,
to
no,
like,
that's good.
when it came to environment and whatnot. But yeah, so just getting back into things right now. So um, I know you said like the test, for example, like back when you were talking about real estate, but even now, and you don't have to get too specific, it is, your personal life and whatnot, but you don't have to get too specific. But what are some of the hardest challenges that you have personally faced that, has, like you went through it, but it's grown you so much more? And how are you able to overcome that thought of fear, in a sense?
Like anything in general,
Well, or yeah, it could be anything
or
in
what?
general, or it could be anything it could be real estate, fashion, whatever it may be.
Okay. I think the hardest thing, honestly, was being a teen mom,
Yeah.
because I was 16 and pregnant. Should have went on the show, but I was 16 and pregnant, and I was in high school, and I was working at this chicken spot, right? Like just making chicken.
Right.
But I had never been so scared in my life. But the only thing I had was faith. That's all I had. I didn't know what was gonna happen, how I was gonna do. Like I didn't know anything, right? Like your whole life changes when you find that out, because your life's gonna change. But I stayed in school. I worked like every day. I would get out of high school like at 3, and then I'd go work from 4 to 10 and do it all over again every single day, right? While being pregnant, I did that the whole like my whole pregnancy, and then and I graduated, and everything was okay. But I just had faith. I was super scared. I had never been that scared in my whole life. But I knew I would be okay. I just had that faith and that confidence that I was going to be okay. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna figure it out. Like it took every day at a time, because we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna just do it. There's a thing that says it's gonna work or it's gonna work.
Right.
So that was the hardest thing in my life.
I like, excuse me, I like that. I really do. And I mean, I was about to say, I also see like posts you make, especially like with your children and whatnot. Phenomenal job, by the way. I mean, I think you do a great job. I see the posts you make
Thank
about
you.
you, yeah, you with your kids, all the work you put in. Um, and yeah, no, I
That's
can
the
definitely relate.
biggest job right there. It's the
Right.
hardest job too.
It is, yo, it really is. I mean, my mom was a teen mom as well. She had me at 17. So, I can only imagine, like what it was like, back then. Cause I mean, I don't have any kids of my own or anything yet. Um, but it's just like thinking back, like being like a teen parent and whatnot. I mean, like it's harder than people realize, but
Yeah.
seeing like, like for example, my mom, being able to do stuff like that. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy, like how much work and dedication, you put into that. And no matter how hard it may have come, you overcame it, right? You overcame it. And now, I mean, to this day, like again, like the posts I've seen with you and your children that you do make, it's inspiring. It really is inspiring, especially when you get to know someone's story of where they came from,
Yeah,
as well.
I forgot to even leave this out, but my mom kicked me out, right?
Oh,
So I had no
really?
place to yeah, when I told her, she had kicked me
Wow.
out a week later. And it was a week, or it was a week before junior year of high school was about to start. Or no, I'm sorry, it was a week into high school. Like my junior year just started. So everything was in August when it happened. And she kicked me out. So I was living out of trash bags. And I had
Man.
like my clothes and trash bags, you know. But I lived with my best friend. She's still my best friend to this day, but I lived with her, and I had a section, you know, like we shared rooms and everything, and I love her and I'm so thankful for her. But I had my section. I had like all my clothes and just like black trash bags, and I was getting ready, going to school, going to work, getting ready, going to school, going to work. Like that was my life,
Right.
you know. And then just education, making my money, saving my money. And then I love my high school because they had like a whole pregnancy counselor, and they had classes for us just to learn about how to be parents and things like that. And so I was really grateful for that class too.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations to you. And that's one thing I love. Um, is seeing the come ups and that, so congratulations on where you're coming from. And thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah.
story. I mean, and I'll be honest, I mean, especially when you were talking about how, like, you got kicked out and whatnot. I mean,
Mhm.
and plus, okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is from, I'm sure from what was a very hard time for you, very difficult time for you back then to where you are now, to seeing this, positive, God loving woman who has put so much work into doing things and is constantly doing that is super inspirational. And I just want to thank you for that as well, because a part of you, I mean, many pieces of your story actually has definitely moved me that I didn't know. So that was, I mean, that's phenomenal. It also goes into the show of like the whole phrase of like, no excuses, to get stuff done. You got to do what you got to do. You got to work, you got to keep going and whatnot. So thank you so much for sharing that piece, Christian. So uh,
You're welcome. Someone needs
absolutely,
to hear it, and it'll help somebody, you know, and that's
absolutely,
what I want to do. So, hey, I
absolutely.
like to be transparent. You got to keep it real.
You do. You really, really do. So this is just my last question for the day. And that is, everything we've said, everything we've talked about, what is one piece of advice that you want to leave for the audience, for the people watching, when it comes to honestly living out their life, living their potential, finding their passion? Like, what's your one piece of advice for them?
I would say do it scared. Do it scared, and don't let your why be your why not.
Okay. Oh, I like
A
that.
lot
I've never heard that. I
a lot
haven't
of
heard that
people
before.
will, yeah, a lot of people will be like, you know, I've heard a lot of people, oh, my kids are my why, you know, I'm doing it for my kids, but then they're like, I can't do it because of my kids. Don't let your why be your why.
Okay. I
Don't let
got
your
you.
why be your why not.
That's phenomenal. I like that. I really like it. That was the first time I've heard that. I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's like, okay, yeah,
Right.
like you got to think about it like, all right, you know, because then it's easy to make up excuses. Everybody makes them up. Like it's super easy,
It
you
is.
know? So, and
And
if it
once
was hard, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So whatever goal you got,
exactly.
whatever you want to do, but do not let your why be your why not, honey.
Exactly. And to leave all, even to like add on to what you just said there, like again, shout out to Steve Harvey for this. He said
Shout
this
out
as
Steve
well.
Harvey.
I
We love
love
you.
Steve Harvey. God, I love that man. But he also said, he's like, now I lost my train of thought. Now I just lost my train of thought. What I was gonna say, my bad.
Okay, you'll get it back.
Uh, it'll come back. Oh yeah, you're watching. Why not? Um, yeah, I was talking about just focusing on like how when you know when something is important to you, you do anything to get it, right? When you focus on the end goal rather than the now, then you can get it. But there's a little bit more to it, but I would be sitting here for minutes trying to think of the rest of what it is. But other than that, Kristen, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you shared today. I think there's a lot of great insight and a lot of great value of what it means to work as an entrepreneur and what it means to honestly overcome these fears, these doubts of yourself, but more importantly, how to bring upon that into existence. So, Kristen, I just say again, thank you for the time you have given today to help out. And is there anything else that you'd like to say as well? Like last minute wording.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so happy that I could be on the podcast
Absolutely.
with you. So I'm super excited for you and proud of you for
Thank
launching
you.
this. I can't wait to see all the other interviews that are going to be posted. So that's it, man. Everybody stay
Awesome.
blessed and go for it and believe in yourself.
Always, always. And then yeah, until then though, everybody, thank you so much for watching for today's podcast, today's episode. I'm gonna be dropping Kristen's information down in the description below where you can follow her, keep in contact with her. If you need a house and you are in the Dallas area, you're in Dallas, is that correct? Or
Yeah. Dallas, Fort
okay.
Worth.
Dallas, I was about to say Dallas Fort Worth. If you're in that area, definitely hit Kristen up. A lot of great work, a lot of great progress. I've been seeing you, a lot of great success coming your way. I'm super happy for you. So, Kristen, Thank you again so much for being on. Thank you for the insight. Thank you everybody that's been watching. I'll see you all in the next video.